I kind of shared this story with Mitchell a few weeks ago, and he asked me last week if I wanted to share it to you guys, and I thought it was a good opportunity. Hope that can, hope a few of y'all guys. It kind of starts way back. Ever since I've been little, I've really, my dream was for Plano, and I was set on, I wanted to play all 4 years on varsity. I grew up watching Rex Burkhead, and he did it. That's what I wanted to be, and I worked my whole life. I love the game of football. I have a passion for it. And growing up, I kind of put all my eggs in one basket. I did well in school, but I never really worked that hard, and I just wanted to play football. And got up through middle school, and I'm a competitive person. I always want to win, and if I don't win, then it's a mind game. I'm always like, all right, I'm not going to let them know that I wanted to win. I'm like, no, it's just a game of ping pong. But I want to win everything, and I don't like to give up. It takes a lot for me to move on from something, and I'm just that kind of guy. I don't really let things go too well, and I remember everything, and it's so all the way up, I was saying I want to make varsity my first year at Plano, and I worked really hard, and it did take a lot of work, and I got there and I made the team, and I thought everything was going to be great, and I didn't really play too much my freshman year, and that kind of that made me angry. I grew angrier, and I'd played from little to middle school, and that was the first time I was really kind of a backup in anything I did, and it made me really angry. I started to I became pretty selfish, and I was caught up in my own individual desires. I feel like all my teammates liked me. I liked them, but I was really up to that point. I was really just concerned with myself, and I didn't get my way that first year, and it really made me angry. And we didn't have a good year that year. We were 4-6, and I wasn't too concerned at the time, which makes me sad to say. But I always wanted to win. I never would rather have a good game than us lose. I always wanted to win, but I always wanted to do well too, be a superstar, and I wanted all these things, and I was just caught up in myself, and I went through that whole off season. I went from not really playing, and I eventually worked my way into starting on both sides of the ball. Off season after my freshman year, and that was, what else could I have asked for? That was such a great opportunity, and I didn't even think anything of it. I didn't appreciate it. I just kept taking, and I didn't really have to. If you told me my freshman year I would have done that the next season, started both ways, I probably would have been really happy. But the second I got it, I didn't appreciate it. I wasn't thankful for it, and I was just angry the whole time and wanted to be the best I could be. I wasn't satisfied with the year before. I wanted to be the best football player I could be, but I wasn't concerned. I felt like I had good relationships, but I wasn't really too concerned with, my relationship with God, my teammates, my friends, parents, everything outside of that. I would have given any of that up, just to have success in football. And I love that I have a passion for it, but there comes a point when you need to realize things matter. And that off season, like I said, I got to the starting role on both sides of the ball, and everything was good. And I was really looking forward to sophomore year. Like, all right, this is going to be a good year. I made it through 2 days, and the second day of practice. So we had 2 weeks of practice. We had a Monday practice, the first day of school, and then that Tuesday, like I said earlier, I don't really like to give up or walk away. I was having a lot of trouble at practice that day, like stamina-wise. It was a pretty humid day, and I was just soaked in sweat. I was dehydrated. 20 minutes into practice, I was just drenched. My shoes were all wet. It was it was bad. I was really tired. And, I didn't really say anything until we have 8-period practices. So it was the second period that I was just like, all right, I'm not feeling good. And it was like the 6th period. I still didn't say anything. Coach Thomas, most of y'all know Coach Thomas, he's my position coach in football. He told me to leave practice. He's like, you're done. He's like, go rest. And that killed me because I don't want to give up. I should have done it earlier, but I kind of hung around the last 2 periods, and we watched film after practice. So I was like, all right, I'm fine. Started cooling down. We came in here, actually, and we watched film. I was sitting over there, and I started getting, like, really cold. I was shivering, like, uncontrollably. And to the point, it was noticeable. Coach McCullough was sitting over there, and I'm in the back right corner, and he saw me and told me to leave and go home because he knew I wasn't doing well. So I went outside and, of course, didn't leave and go home. And I was outside kind of just pacing around thinking it was going to go by. Like, I wanted to watch the rest of the film. I was like, I'm not going to be a kid and just leave. And, Coach Thomas came outside to see if I was okay. And I started losing feeling in my right arm. At that point, I'd sat down and started losing feeling in my face. I couldn't really talk. Coach Thomas called 911, and I couldn't move my hands or fingers. It just like stopped moving. They were stuck in like a really awkward position, actually, like that. I couldn't really talk. Lips weren't moving too well, so a few of the coaches were out there. They called my parents, and all this happening in like the hallway out there. And my teammates were leaving practice at the same time, so I was worried. I hated them to see me like that. They took me to the hospital, and it ended up, all it was I overdid it. I wasn't really getting enough oxygen to my brain, is what they said, and it kind of caused some things to start shutting down, arms, face, like all that earlier. And I got all that feeling back probably within the next hour. And, while I was in the hospital, they decided to run some other tests just to see if I was fully healthy. They weren't too concerned about anything else. The incident wasn't really related to any health. It could happen to anyone. But while I was in the hospital, they found that my heartbeat wasn't normal. So it drew a little concern. So throughout the rest of the week, I was in and out of the hospital getting tests on my heart. They wanted to make sure it wasn't anything dangerous that could lead to something worse. And just to make things clear, the incident that happened out there, it had nothing to do with my heart. It was completely unrelated, but they were concerned that I had something called low QT syndrome, which I don't know if y'all heard of the Living for Zachary organization. A kid from Plano East a few years ago died during football practice due to cardiac arrest, and he had low QT syndrome, and it's hard to explain. It's like the amount of time to take your heart to beat once. It's a little slower than average, and that's like the #1 symptom for it. My heartbeat was like that. It was slower than normal, just by a little bit though. So they were a little concerned, and that's the #1 symptom for it. And usually that is the case. If you have low QT syndrome, you can't play sports. It's dangerous. You could drop it in a second. So we were really concerned. All these things like football, I dedicated my whole life to football, and I wasn't really panicked. I was like, I'm a football player. I'm a big, strong guy. I'll be fine. And so the incident happened on a Tuesday, testing all Wednesday and stuff, and they were a little concerned. And then Thursday, I was at a doctor, and they said I had just gotten some more tests, and I thought I was going to be fine. And the doctor walked in, and before he even said what I had or anything, his first words were, "Sam, I suggest you take up a sport like archery." And that just sunk me. I was devastated. And football, I love my passion. He just took it away and didn't really seem to care to me. He just told me go do archery. I was like, no. But no, I was devastated, and I was really struggling. I felt empty and lost, and you know, I would never say I was a religious person before, but I did pray, but it was meaningless. It was for me, because I never thanked God in my prayers. I was just always asking for stuff. And so as the weekend went on, I don't remember what day, but I got that news on a Thursday. So it was a few days, and I wasn't doing well. And that was probably the lowest point in my life. You know, I just felt empty. And, you know, I decided I had nowhere else to go. I was going to turn it to God. And, you know, that was probably my first sincere prayer of my life. That said, you know, just like, I can't do it. I was like, I need you, God. I was like, I know I probably haven't built a good relationship up to this point. I was starting to realize all these things. You know, I felt like I did a lot good, but like better than others. I never went to parties, never drank, you know, or did drugs. I took care of my body. So I was like, he's not going to do this to someone who takes care of his body, and he knows how much I love football. And I was like, there's people that do way worse things. But, you know, I was slowly realizing, you know, we all sin. No one's better than anyone else. One can sin better than someone else. And, you know, I was realizing these things. I was like, I can't do it. I was like, you know, if you hear me, I was like, I need something from you. And I was like, I'm not doing well. And, you know, I just left it at that. And I have this app on my phone that I used to read. It gives you like a Bible verse a day. You have to open it up to read it. I usually read it every night before I went to bed. So after I said that prayer, I just sat there thinking for a while. I opened the app on my phone, and the verse there is Psalms 51:10, and it says, "Create in me a clean heart, God, and renew a right spirit within me." So I was like, okay, that's a sign. It's like it could not have been more clear, literally and figuratively, with that verse. I was like, all right. So, you know, I had a little bit better of an attitude. I was like, all right, you heard my prayer. You know, something's going to work out. And I went through the next couple days, and I was, you know, still down. We were still going to hospitals and stuff, getting tests on my heart. You know, I was hoping for better news. I went to see a cardiologist, you know, to get other opinions, and I had to do a lot of tests. I kept praying to God, you know, sincere prayers, nothing, you know, just thanking Him. You know, football's over. Thank you for everything to this point. You know, I've had a more blessed football career to this point than most people ever get to have. You know, at least I get to walk, and I've got to play for all these years. I started thanking Him for the things I had. Slowly started realizing, like, you know, I've been selfish this whole time. It's really not about me. And, you know, I kept getting second opinions, and eventually went to a doctor, and he ran a few tests, and he eventually said, you don't have low QT syndrome. He said, we tested you, and the way it works is a 1, it was on a scale of 1 to 3. He said a 1, you don't have it. A 3, you have low QT syndrome. Of course, I got a 2, which is a gray area. But he said I have the symptom. So he said it's a genetic mutation in my heart that it shows the symptom. It does take a little bit longer for it to beat, but nothing else resembles long QT syndrome. So he said I have all the confidence in the world. He's like, you can return to sports. He said it's 100% safe. He said if I were to have any worry at all, he's like, I would not let you play sports ever again. He said they looked into it, and you know they determined it was completely safe to play, and it's just a mutation. They'd never seen it before. I mean, since that day, I was really thankful. Obviously, I mean, I got a second chance, and you know, I went on and did some good things here at Plano, and look, you know, I was fortunate enough to get a scholarship to go play at Baylor, just any scholarship really. And, you know, any day that I look back, and I said, you know, it's been a bad day of football, or, you know, disappointed that the season's over. And, you know, I look back and I was like, it could all be different. I was like, I could not have ever even experienced any of these things, played football. I was like, but most importantly, that brought me closer to God, made me realize I need to, you know, put a little more into my relationships with other people, and you know, my parents and coaches and teammates, and I've tried to be the best, you know, of all those things I can, you know, brother, friend, teammate, son, and you know, definitely taught me a lesson, opened my eyes. And by no means has it been easy since then. You know, I still have a lot of problems, but you know, like with selfishness and. But it's definitely gotten better since then. I can't speak for my teammates, but I think they'd say that I've been a good teammate. You know, I love them all. And, that's what really matters. So not only was I given a second chance at sports, but I was given a second chance, you know, to my faith and my relationships. And it sucks that it took you know, an experience like that. But you know, when I look back on it in the long run, it was definitely an experience well worth it. You know, I just wish I hadn't had to go through that. So what I guess I'm trying to say to y'all is, you know, if you're ever going through a situation that you can't handle, you know, put it in God's hands. You know, I've had some situations I thought I couldn't handle, put it in God's hands, and it didn't get back with me that quick. I mean, that was pretty quick. But you know, I do trust that, you know, those things that, you know, I've asked of him, he's leading me in the right direction. And, you know, that time more so than ever, he knew I needed his help a little more quickly. And so I just, the point of all this, I guess, is to, you know, appreciate. I mean, I'm sure all y'all have a passion. I hope you do. You know, but don't ever take for granted your relationships with, and your fellowship with, I mean, everyone, your families, friends. You're playing sports, I mean, your teammates and coaches, because it can all be taken away in a second. I thought I had everything, you know, I had a lot, and I didn't even appreciate it, and it was taken away like that. I feel very fortunate that he gave it back. And, you know, I missed the first game that season, but I haven't missed a game since then. And I mean, I feel I have all the confidence in the world, you know, that there's nothing. I mean, there is nothing wrong. It's completely safe. But you know, I'm very thankful because I could have, you know, fate could have had it that I had different results. And so that's kind of my story. I just wanted to share with y'all. Up to now, I think I'd only shared it with Mitchell. Kind of partially told my girlfriend, another friend, and I just told my parents that whole story last night. I hadn't even told them all that. But I felt it was a good opportunity to share that with you guys, and I hope you guys can take something from that. And you know, that's all I got. So thank you guys for listening.